Bigger mess in baseball, Jeremy. Houston Astros or the New York Mets?
The New York mess. There's a mess for a reason. That's what it is.
Oh, my goodness.
That's nightmares. You know, when I was in Milwaukee, we drafted Jorge Lopez.
Sure.
Charlie Sullivan, second rounder out of Puerto Rico. And good arm, man. We thought he was a starter for a long time. This stage of his career, he's a reliever. And you know what? I got to say this. For the mess, it is the mess, the New York mess. They've had, this is what, year 4 for Cohen? 20, 21. This is year 5. 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. This is year 5. And I could have sworn that he said he was going to win a championship in the first few years. And I'm not trying to throw Dr. Cohen under the bus. It's not that easy. It's just not that easy. Now, they've had a general manager carousel.
Yes, they have.
Would be putting it nicely. The guy they should have hired, they still haven't even talked to. Okay, and somebody put the. You want to? Okay, here's the plug.
Okay,
and here's me putting it in.
Okay.
Somebody put the kibosh on the guy they should have hired back in. That was 20, wasn't it? It was a pandemic year. I want to say it was 20.
After the 20 season?
I think so. It was after 20.
After the 20 season.
After 20. Somebody internally who's afraid for their own job put the kibosh.
Really?
Yeah. I got all secrets. I'll just running around the dome. Put the kibosh on it and decided they were more worried about themselves for good reason, I guess, and got close to the head person in charge that was close to Cohen and put the kibosh on it. The person in charge at the time was a young Sandy Alderson. For those of you that might want to know how I know that, when I was a kid, my dad was an agent, and I was growing up in a town called Oakland, California. There was a general manager of the Oakland Athletics by the name of one Sandy Alderson, who I may have time or two walked in the guy's office, just randomly been there and visited with hugs and the whole thing. Now, I'm not saying I got that from Sandy. I'm just saying I know that happened. And so somebody put the kibosh on it, and Sandy's listening to his people, and the guy they should have hired, still they haven't interviewed. How about that? And since then, the New York Metropolitans, decided they were going to have whatever they had. So look, George Lopez, Francisco Lindor, I mean, we're going to get into it. There's guy Pete Alonso. That place has gone downhill faster than a toboggan in the snow.
To be clear, Lopez on Instagram saying, unfortunately, my efforts to address the media in English created some confusion and generated headlines that do not reflect what I was trying to express. I wish the team the best and hope that God continues to give me strength and guidance in my personal and professional life.
Translation, I've been released. Somebody signed me. He was drafted, I want to say, in 2010. Maybe we take him in 10, maybe 9, 2009. 2009. We took him in 2009. It's 15 years ago. I'm not, listen, bottom line.
Which draft did you say?
I think it was 09.
11.
It was 2011. We took him in 11. Okay, so it was a year before I left. I went to Seattle in 12.
Okay.
After that draft. That's when I took Youngman. Wait a minute. I took Taylor in 2011 in the first round.
Yes.
And we took Lopez in the second round. It was Bradley after that. Then we took Lopez in the second round.
Bradley, Lopez, the kid from Long Beach, Drew
Gagnon.
Yeah, Gagnon, Nick Ramirez, Michael Reed.
Youngman, big leaguer. Not a very, sorry, Taylor. Not a great one, but you were there. Lopez, big leaguer. Bradley, big leaguer for a minute. Lopez, big leaguer. You said Gagnon?
Your first 5, 6.
Gagnon, big leaguer. Ramirez, big leaguer.
7 of your first 8 picks were big leaguers.
Reed, big leaguer. Who was in the 6th round?
He was not it was Daniel Keller.
Yeah, no big leaguer. 7th round?
Goforth.
Daniel Goforth.
David Goforth.
Out of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big leaguer?
Big leaguer.
Yeah, and who was
31 games.
Who was after that?
Dustin Hoolay?
Don't think so. In the 10th?
Malcolm, in the 9th, Malcolm Dowell?
No.
Michael Strong, Tommy Toledo.
I remember that name when we took him. Go ahead.
Andrew Kane. Yeah. Malik Smith, big leaguer.
Yeah, but different organization.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Did we sign him? Malik Smith, we didn't sign him.
No, you didn't. You didn't. But he made the big leagues. I know it doesn't.
Braves? Mariners?
Mariners.
That's what I thought.
Jacob Barnes?
Yeah.
Big leaguer.
Yeah.
The guy you didn't sign, who's been the best player in that entire draft, is pretty easy.
Who we take?
16th round?
Who we
Out of
took?
Holly Springs, North Carolina.
Oh, Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
One Daniel Nellum took Rodon, was screaming for Carlos Rodon, and Bruce side, God rest him, he couldn't get into it. Bruce was good though with the area guys. He'd done it so long. He's like, all right, hey, you like this guy? Okay. We're gonna take him. We'll take him here. Okay. You get 2 rounds ahead, and you're like, all right, Dan and Nick, get on the phone. Is Carlos gonna sign? No, he's not gonna sign. Okay, we're gonna push him to here. And Dan went in and saw him the best he could, and Carlos like, I'm going North Carolina State.
So there's 51 players in this
no.
draft. 12 of them played in the major leagues, 23%. Total WAR of 24.5 or 2.0 per major leaguer, which is basically some of the numbers that we were pulling out from those not so great Astros.
Yeah, no,
drafts.
it was. It's interesting to look back on it. Rodon's been pretty good, and Dan deserves a feather in his cap. I'm always big on the guy that took him out of high school, because you saw it different. It's easier out of college. I'm sorry, it is. It's still hard.
Yeah,
but it's easier out of college because they're more mature. Pro scouting is. Every pro scout I know is going to call me and blow me up in like 5 minutes. The pro scouting is not tough because they're finished products, right? You're looking at numbers and you're looking at its trade acquisitions, and the hardest part of pro scouting is guys in A-ball because you got to find where guys are going to fit, and everybody, you got to ask for people that aren't their best players. Like Jordan Alvarez, that's a heck of a find, right? He wasn't their best guy. Dodgers didn't know what they had. They went and got him, okay? So, but Dan Nellum should be a scouting director. He's one of the best scouts in baseball, and he's not real known. He has interviewed for scouting director jobs, but he's one of. And full disclosure, it's my dude. Okay, it's my guy. We've spent a lot of time together and worked together and talk, and it's my dude. He's on our advisory board, but it doesn't mean he's not one of the best scouts in the game. So he's had some interviews. Hopefully, he gets more. Hopefully, the Brewers begin to appreciate what they got there. He's been loyal to them, and he's had opportunities to do other stuff that, if he wanted to, he never made himself available to do it, but he could. Yes?
that's the first time he's been mentioned on this podcast, I believe.
What's the first time you talked about a player that you drafted?
That's cool, but I'm just saying, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a new one. How are we going down this? This is a very interesting draft because the Brewers also drafted another really interesting player in that draft with an incredible background.
Who?
30th round.
Who do we take?
Out of San Juan Capistrano, California. He later went to USC, a third baseman, Trent Boris.
Totally forgot about that. Bruce.
Scott Boris's kid.
Yeah, Bruce.
Before that, you took Jonathan Lucroy's brother.
Yeah, we did that. We took Lucroy's brother. Brian Sankey drafted Lucroy.
Okay.
And Ray Montgomery was the cross-checker with John. We took Lucroy's brother to Florida, right? Was that Florida? We did a little bit of that
high
stuff.
school, yeah.
So we got
That's not rare. I mean, that happens. So.
Unfortunately, and again, here we go, picks like that is why the draft is 20 rounds. Because you're not signing those guys. You're not taking those. They're not helping their system anywhere, and so, But Boris is an interesting dude.
Yeah.
And I don't think we signed him. And
no, you did not.
We didn't sign Lucroy's brother, and but Rodon is clearly the best pick.
Do you know we've just spent 11 minutes on
the Milwaukee
Brewers 2011 draft?
Hey man,
and Jorge Lopez.
Saw a lot of players.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of players.
There has been so much anger now that José Abreu's back, and you called it, although I wouldn't say it was a great, fearless prediction, that if José Abreu came back and did not produce, that it would be all on him. Again, all the anger and frustration and the Astros fans just all over him. And sure enough, it happened pretty quickly. I think it was game number 3 back.
Right.
And with that goes a lot of criticism aimed at Jeff Bagwell, who many believe is the driving force. But I think there's a case to be made right now, and I understand that it may be problem 201 of the Astros issues. Maybe the analysts are a major problem with the way this season is going. Because right now the pitching is back, and the starting pitching has been darn good for the most part. But this lineup continues to falter. And this was incredible because on the Space City Home Network broadcast the other night, it mentioned about who is your most valuable player for the month of May, and they listed 4 or 5 guys, and it said Kyle Tucker, and it gave his little stat line, and it said 11 home runs, 19 runs driven in.
Wow.
Are the analysts holding this lineup back by not playing Mauricio Dubon more, by putting guys in places where they shouldn't be?
I'm going to ask you what you prefer. Should I just?
I prefer the lineup that you've trotted out there many times.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, because Houston. Are we ready for what I'm about to say? Because I got to make sure, because the temperature that we've been seeing on X has been getting better.
Oh, can you read that tweet?
Yeah, I can. But it's problem 201, Jason. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
That's going to be the best line.
So last week we talked about maybe doing mean tweets.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do mean tweets.
But there was a tweet that you sent me, because usually I send them to you.
Yeah, I sent you this one.
And I was hoping you could read it.
All right, here we go. From Smitty Hendricks 36.
Ooh, this is good. I like this.
I can't see Dana Brown putting this lineup together. Dude has been super productive in scouting/player development. Whoever's making this lineup should kick rocks and work on an SQL database for Sears, a dying branch like the front office career should, at Jeremy Booth. First of all, Jace, it's well done. It's well done. Second of all, you are correct, sir. Whoever is making this lineup should cash in your big league card. Okay? It's not Joe Espada, even though there's another media member who I'm starting to like a little bit that says what's wrong with Espada. I'm starting to like that guy. He's got a great first name, by the way. Starting to like that guy.
I think he likes you. I know he respects. Listen, anybody who holds their opinions, he even mentioned this. He said, hey, the guy has conviction. I can appreciate that.
And that's I love to hear it. It's things you love to see. What makes that even special is I'm not wrong. So when it comes to this, and I'm going to go back on this problem 201. I'm going to say it's problem 1. Now it's problem 1, okay? It wasn't problem 201 before. It was problem 1 before then. It's now definitely problem 1. And anytime you have this type of offensive power, firepower, and it comes together in a way where your best hitter at whatever point has been sabotaged and destroyed by you playing with his preparation and putting him in a position in the lineup that he didn't belong, and the next guy you got, who you think's a good left-handed bat, has become Marco Solo. Like, you don't do that. Why would you not want these guys driving guys in? Kyle Tucker is an ambush fastball hitter. He is really good at it. He's an ambush fastball hitter. He hits 5th in your lineup in a normal lineup. In today's world, it's probably 4.
You'd be all right with that?
Yeah, but it's not 2. I'd be all right with putting him 3 and Alvarez 4. I still think he's better behind Jordan. I still think he is. But I'm not going to argue that. But you got Jeremy Pena dying where you're putting him. That's a waste of time, man. That is a waste of time. For all you know, Altuve could move and slide down. I'm not saying you do it, but there's other options to move people around. And there's an analyst in this office. Jason is not the friendly confines of KHOU, but there is an analyst in the office in the Houston Astros who is messing with this thing. Dana Brown has too long of a track record to have this bad a feel when it comes to the lineup. Reggie Jackson has too much understanding of the game to have this bad of a feel when it comes to the lineup. Joe Espada, who admittedly at this point is a little disappointing in how he's leading this team because he's doing what he's told instead of what he wants to do. I will firmly hold on to that until I'm told otherwise. Not by Joe, because Joe could tell me, this is what I want to do, and I didn't say you don't deserve your job. Okay? But, Houston, this is what you wanted. You wanted this guy in the chair. You can't turn around 65 games. Is it 65 games? Somewhere around there? 60. You can't turn around 60 games in and say, whoops, it's his first year. It's the wrong guy at the back end of the window, and I told you that. However, he was handpicked because he wasn't going to cost a ton of money. He was already here. There was a player report. He would do what he was told by whoever was in the office that became the new lead analyst, because Bill Furcus is no longer there. That guy is the person that's making this decision. It's that guy. Okay, you guys want to know what the name is? I'm not giving you the name. Do your own homework and figure out who that guy is. But that's the guy. It's not all the years of Joe Espada. It's not all the years of Jeff Bagwell. It's not all the years of Craig Biggio. It's not all the years of even Jim Crane. Jim Crane's trusted people to do certain things based on numbers. And the only thing that changed from this year to last year is that there's a new manager in the dugout. And that guy's listening to the analysts because he's being told he has to. All the good analytic baseball people, the really good ones, are gone. Furcus, hasta luego. Personal reason. Not his, he was let go, but wasn't anything with performance. Gone. And I wasn't a fan, but he still did what he did. Mike Fast, been gone. Eve Rosenbaum, deuces. Anybody you could think of to put this together. Mike Elias, clearly gone. Anybody you could think of who had a better idea of their data department, see ya. They're gone. So when you have that type of deal and you have the changes that are left, it's whoever is still left around. And I'm telling you right now, it's that guy. Whoever that guy is, you figure out who it is. But that's the guy. I have the name. I'm not giving it to you. That I'm not doing. You guys figure it out. Okay? And unfortunately, they're messing with these guys' careers and messing with the season. Alvarez is not going to have, well, he could tear it off the cover off the ball the rest of the way and make me a liar. So let me say this. The odds look like it's going to be a tougher year for him than we would want. Okay? Kyle Tucker is going to continue to benefit in that position, but he's going to hit a bunch of solo home runs. So like I said, at the start of the year, different guy. I said on the start of the year in Sports Extra, do you want parades or do you want to hit somebody second because that's supposed to? And there were a lot of people on Twitter that came hunting for me. How's that looking now? Glad you guys have come around. Welcome to the club. But when it comes to what's going on, that's what's happened, Jason. You nailed it. It's the analyst, and I'm sorry. And I'm going to go back into Minute Maid, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to have guys staring at me, and I'm going to say, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Because that's what it is. It's those guys that are doing it.
Well, listening to Sports Talk Radio when I come into work, you hear all these people, these callers are saying, listen, these guys are the same guys in the lineup, and it is. I mean, these are the same guys.
People are figuring it out.
And they're the same guys, and they're supposed to be better because you've got a better hitter in Yainer Diaz.
That's right.
But yet everything is worse. So why wouldn't you? I mean, it's deductive reasoning. If you have all the same pieces, but the pieces are in a different order, why aren't you looking at the order? Doesn't make any sense.
So why do you think, let me ask you this question because I got it. We talk. I obviously, Jason and I talk all the time, as you would expect. So my question for you, man, why are we the villains in that?
More so you.
Okay, why am I
More
the
so
villain?
you.
Not that I care, because
Yeah.
I love the villain role, but why am I the villain? I'm right.
Because the Astros have been built on this, and I don't want to call it a myth. I think a myth is a beautiful story about how a franchise was built on the back of analytics and people who did things differently. When, in many ways, yes, analytics work. But I would argue, and I think a lot of people in the game now would back me on this, is that analytics have ended up hurting the Astros. I'm not going to say more than it helped, but I think it's getting pretty close because when you look at all the issues in the draft, all the failures in the draft, first two rounds, back of the drafts, we've talked about that over and over and over. And now when you see these pieces that are here, all these guys, and someone's like playing a video game with them. Oh, we'll put him here because, or we'll put him there, and we'll put him here, and we'll put him there. They're not machines. They're not machines.
Well, yeah, it's funny.
They're not robots. They're not machines.
They're not creative players and avatars.
And I think that's why people have this beautiful idea of that. And many people who hang on to this idea probably, I don't want to say didn't make their high school baseball team or something like that. And they saw, like, it's our turn. We've got the sword, charge. And all those big bad guys who said we were dumb, called us geeks, well, now it's our turn. But from what I've gathered is that a lot of these guys in baseball, most of them, first of all, a lot of these stats aren't new. Maybe they've got a different derivative of them. But most of them that I've encountered, like, they're open to this stuff.
That's well said.
They're really open to this stuff.
That's actually really well said. I think different derivative is a good way of putting it. That's really, it might be the best I've heard it put when it talks about analytics, because the way it's being measured and quantified, most of them are the same. They're just maybe a different insight, maybe a different look, maybe a different name. I mean, Jason, I think of all these years of dealing with it. Like, I looked at Billy Bean's quote randomly today. Billy Bean said, for those of you, the guys that are curious, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, my stuff, it was a different word, my stuff is built to get us to the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, it's luck. Again, paraphrasing, okay? That's not how you win. That's how you survive. That's how you survive 162. And if you're the Oakland A's, maybe that's what you do. It's not how you win. You win with aircraft carriers, you win by the right free agents, you win by augmenting through trades, and you built teams to play good baseball in October. This team is still built to play good baseball in October. Was it last year we were in the World Series?
No.
Year before.
Year before.
And last year we were where?
Last year we went to Arlington, you and I.
That's right.
For the American League Championship Series, which the Astros had 2 games to win one.
Never forget
2
that.
games at home, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'll never forget what happened in Arlington those days, which is another story for another time. But what I will tell you is, you started to see the decline a little bit of what could happen when the wrong pieces were moved around. The Astros had the right lineup on the field; they just weren't healthy and they ran out of gas. You do that in shortened off seasons, and you do that coming off some of the stuff you had. But Jason's right; pieces are the same. For Mauricio Dubon to not be playing every day it's a sin. It's an absolute crime. He should be playing every single day. I don't care where you play him. I don't care what you do, but he should be playing. If Jake Myers has earned some time in the lineup while he's hot, ride the hot guy. Okay?
Maybe that's what's happened.
Yeah, ride the hot guy. But you've got José Abreu on the roster who clearly isn't a fit anymore. We'll just say it. I know it's $19 million. He's not a fit. You got Singleton, who's playing better, at least in approach, than what his numbers say he should, but maybe he's having some at-bats that he's never gotten before. You have Yainer Diaz, who has clearly been affected by the shuffle and people adjusting in the second year. That happens, but he's moving around over the place too. You can't find any consistency because all we seem to be focused on is 1 and 2. We're not focused on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 1 and 2. Altuve, and then it's been Alvarez and Tucker and Pena when one of those guys hasn't played. That's who's hitting there. And all we're concerned about is who's hitting second. We're not concerned about the rest of the lineup. And I told you, I'll say it again. You want to hit somebody second to say you did, or do you want to have parades? And there is a person whose name I'm not going to use that I'll never forget was pretty derogatory about me on X. Imagine that. Pretty derogatory about me, and I put it on mute because I don't, put it on mute. And I went back later and I said, "How's that look now?" And it was another, comment, and then it was silence because you're wrong. You're wrong. If you're an economics teacher and you might be spouting off, you're wrong. Jason nailed it. It's the analysts who are messing this thing up. What I will give Jeff Luhnow, and I don't like giving him anything, but I will give Jeff Luhnow is he was smart enough to understand how to move the pieces around. And he was smart enough to understand what numbers were working, and he was smart to understand when to switch the model. He knew that. And on that alone, no matter what you think of his character and what you think of who he is, and believe me, I am not a fan of those things. Matter of fact, after his interview on another station, when he did that, I torched him. Remember that? Went on, I lit him up to the point where it was being played everywhere across the game. And I'm going to tell you this. He was still good at what he did. These guys think they're him. They're not. He was good at what he did. But he wasn't good at what it was left to get there. And that was left for him by another group. And you've got the end of the line where you can still finish this up here and shorten the window and have a better team. But now you got a situation with Alex Bregman, you don't know what to do. You got Tucker, who's going to cost a ton of money because, well, he's just gonna. You got Alvarez that's locked up. You got Pena you got to deal with, who's having a good year. Right? You got to figure out what you're going to do and make some decisions. And the pitching, as Jason said, is absolutely back. So, there's some questions with Javier now, and Urquidy probably don't touch a ball until next year. But, you have some things that are going on where you have enough to compete. You're missing the window because you're messing up the lineup, and it's definitely the analysts.
Bagwell gets all the criticism about the signing of José Abreu.
Yeah.
There's no way he operated alone on that. The analysts had to have some input on José Abreu. No?
I don't think with what I've learned then and what I know now.
I mean, José Abreu at 2021 season, yeah, he grounded into 28 double plays, and the home runs were, the 2022 season, home runs were cut in half, but, I mean, he had less strikeouts, drove in 75 runs, had 40 doubles, received MVP votes. I mean, the numbers weren't any different than some of these other seasons he had, other than the power. But like his 2018 season, which he was an all-star.
Do you remember I told you, I said when he got here on air, you said, what do you think? I said, more like Carlos Lee at the end, you know? And he outperformed him, I think, last year, but he isn't this year, you know? There's no way that Jeff Bagwell is taking $19 million a year, or I guess 57
Whatever.
$million a year, $57 million over 3, and giving that to a player without the ownership and the analyst signing off on it. It's not happening. And in Jim's particular situation, Jim probably said, from what we know of him, complete speculation, find me the guy, tell me how much it's going to cost, and go figure it out if we can get it done. They need a replacement for Yuli, who, by the way, that was correct. Need a replacement for Gurriel, and they found one. 1 year was probably what they should have done, was one in options, because there weren't any other suitors at that number. But they overpaid to get him because they were the Astros, and they felt they needed to do it. And same reason like playing Yordan Alvarez in left field. They do it because he wants to play left field instead of the fact that he shouldn't be playing left field.
Well, his numbers are better when he's in left field.
That's great. A lot of guys are better when they're on their feet. That's a fact. However, because DHing is hard to do. But his body breaks down. And you can't run him out there like that. He needs to be refreshed. But yeah, as it may, the analysts absolutely signed off on it, and so did Crane. It's not Jeff Bagwell. Jeff Bagwell just went to get the deal done and build the rapport. That's what happened.
And then Jeff Bagwell mentioned the use of analytics and James Click. And I have to go back and look at the quote again, but I have to believe that a lot of that was geared towards drafting and scouting. That would be my...
It was geared towards the player development side of it. Because
Yeah.
Bagwell looked PD and said, this is a mess. And it was. It was a mess.
Yeah.
And
again, I'm not trying to apologize for Jeff Bagwell. That's not what we're doing here. But
well, we're telling the truth.
I think so.
Do I think Jeff, I see Jeff at the stadium, so do you. We see him he's there every night. I'll say this. Do I think Jeff was given too much pop too soon? Yeah. I don't think he was ready for it. If you asked me tomorrow, you think I was, yes, you're over your skis. I remember when Jeff was a hitting coach and it wasn't for him in the big leagues. I was scouting at the time. I saw him on the field. Hey, when did they get Jeff and he wasn't ready for it. Being a front office member, while we fantasize about this at home and we play these games, is very difficult. And Jeff wasn't ready for it. Was he ready to have input? Yes. Maybe a bigger role in PD? Yes. Was he ready to go ahead and talk about processes, building hitters? Absolutely. Was he ready to make major league decisions? No, he wasn't. I see Biz there all the time. Every night when I'm in the ballpark now, I see Craig. Never did that before. I see Craig. Biz saw the game differently. He sees it in a different role. He was more of a leader, whereas Bagwell was more of a workhorse grunter. Both Hall of Famers, but Biz was...
Well, Bagwell was the leader,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, I look at the two. To me,
I wasn't here covering him, so I don't know.
Well, I was, and I will tell you that it was Biggio's club. Baggy was great. He was prolific, and he did a lot of really good things, and he was definitely part of the core and at the front. But Biz had a different energy about what he did. Bagwell ground out at bats, and he swung it hard, and he played first base, and he hustled, and he competed, and he never left any stone unturned. Biggio did a lot easier. He just did. And so, Craig saw it different. They're going to see it different. And what I'm saying is that none of those guys are ready to make every decision. Reggie Jackson, love Reggie, not ready to make every decision. But these guys, he's seen a lot more than the other two when it comes to that time. So all of this to tell you that it's not those guys. Those guys are listening to people where they need to listen to them, and some decisions were made. And when it comes to the lineup, they're letting the analysts do what they want to do because that's what they're paid for, and the analysts are messing this up. That's the bottom line.
We've gone about 30-something minutes, if you can believe that.
What else we got?
This is what we're going to end on. Just came in on Thursday night as we're taping this. JUCO World Series.
Okay.
Blinn moves on.
Yeah.
Now, granted, by the time this is posted, it may be over. They may be eliminated. But they were down by 1 in the 9th inning. They were then down to 2 outs in the 9th inning. They were losing 19-18, Jeremy, in the top of the 9th inning. Thanks to 6 walks in the top of the 9th inning by Florence Darlington, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Out of South Carolina.
They scored back-to-back-to-back bases-loaded walks.
What?
And scored 3 and won 21-19.
You're kidding me.
They won 21-19
That's amazing.
on back-to-back-to-back bases-loaded walks.
I've never heard of that before.
I feel for the kids from Florence Darlington.
Yeah.
My guess is at this point, when you're in the elimination bracket, it's all hands on deck, and you're way deep into that pitching staff.
For sure. That's crazy. I've never been to Grand Junction. We used to cover it.
Man, I want to go to that.
Yeah.
I want to go to that, and I want to go to the NBC World Series.
Well, I think Grand Junction we may be able to do because the JUCO stuff we do, all these teams we're talking about are in it. Blinn was in Globe Life. San Jac was in Globe Life. Northwest Florida was in Globe Life.
Corey from San Jac said, I think it was Corey, or maybe it was Corey.
Yeah.
Said he thought Blinn was the best hitting team in the country.
Yeah,
they played them all, and they were the best hitting team in the country.
They've done a good job. You know, Dusty's done a good job, and Eric's done a good job. And I think as we're gonna go into the fall, we'll have Florence Darlington. They're on our selection committee. We'll have them, and they'll be in the event in the Carolinas. Northwest Florida back. In the event in Florida in Sarasota. So it's an interesting. It's interesting. JC baseball right now is really good. And it's going to get better. I would
argue it's been good.
Yeah, I'm a JUCO bandit myself from Cyprus, but it's the time.
California.
People are going to get upset. Whatever. Why do I keep saying that? People always get upset. At the time, California didn't really think about the rest of the country as we'd go whoop on pretty much anybody.
Yeah, California JUCO baseball was
not today.
Yeah,
not today. It's good. It's good everywhere. It's really good baseball, and I'm glad to see these guys having success, man. These kids grind it out. When I went to Cyprus, I think we had 14 guys that went on to play pro ball off one team. Augie Ojeda was our shortstop. Keith Ginner was a second baseman. And right fielder Jeff Pickler played
Brewers in the Brewers system, right?
Yeah, Jeff's now a coach with Cincinnati. He played second base for a year and went to Tennessee. We had 14 guys or so that went on and played. Rancho Santiago, which is now Santa Ana, the late Don Sneddon, God rest him, was the coach there. They might have had like 17 guys. And then like Riverside, Bobby Kilty, you get the idea up and down the state. I mean, our champion, Ted Lilly, and I were facing each other at 18 years old. He was at Fresno, and I was at Cyprus.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. We're running out of time, and someone has to go do the news, and I don't know what Jeremy has to do. But anyways, as always, everybody, thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you next time.